Welcome back to the channel, Luke Hart here. Board review, master maybe, or apprentice, I don't know. I've been doing a few now. It feels like I'm continuously talking about surfboards and looking at a camera at the moment. As usual, always excited to talk about a new shape and a new brand as well that we've got on collab. This is the Angel Twin from Axel Lorentz, previously known and very well regarded as one of the best channel bottom twin pins on the market in the UK, under Pukas' brand as the Lady Twin. A lot of you will have surfed this board and know about this board. Axel's just launched his own factory over in Europe and he's working with Collab in the UK to showcase his boards and get his boards to all the people that love his shapes, and we're absolutely stoked to have him on board. So let's have a little run through one of his high performing best selling models, previously the Lady Twin and now the Angel Twin from Axel Lorentz. So we'll start with the outline. Axel always been a bit of a leader in this type of board. I think twin pins are very popular now. Everyone loves them because you've got all that extra rail line, but you've got a loose fin setup, which means that at slower speeds in rubbish waves, you can still chuck it about and it's not as boring as maybe a 2+1 hybrid or like a thruster hybrid in slower waves. Given that twin gives you that extra little sort of freedom to sort of S-it about and sort of manipulate the tail and the pivot from a slightly higher stance, making it a really versatile board. I absolutely love twin pins. I really like them for the UK as well in weaker waves. Starting with the outline, you do have quite a parallel outline. The width is taken away because you don't need as much turning radius when there's less fins. So you've got a straighter rail line. So the width on the 6.6 is just over 20 3/4, meaning that you get this kind of parallelity for like sort of down the line drive and speed. And then it maintains that rail extension, so you have a slightly wider nose. It doesn't pull in till kind of down here, so it's a little bit fuller in the rail, and this is kind of designed so that you are sort of slightly more neutral stance and chilled and take cruisier lines. And then again, it maintains quite a lot of width through the tail, and it just pulls in pretty dramatically when you get to the fins into this kind of round pintail, accentuated by the channels on the bottom, I'd have to say as well. You can see the channels from the top. They're not shallow channels. If Axel's putting in channels, he's putting in channels. And you can kind of see that taking shape from the outline. What that gives you on the outline is a bit more sensitivity at higher speeds because you're dealing with a lot more speed given that it's a twinny, and you've got drive and looseness and less traction from the fins, less holding you back. When you look at the bottom shape, like taking the channels out of the equation for a little bit, we've got a very, very light single in the middle. I'm almost going to call this the Axel bottom shape because as a shaper, putting sort of V bottoms into single into V is really hard to transition smoothly with your rockers, and Axel just does it like, he does it so well. It's just basically flattening this middle part of the board, so you've got board engaged, so you've got a very stable platform and lots of lift. As the nose is sort of brought out of the water with the natural sort of softer rolled V that he's put in here. You get that lift under here and it's nice and stable, really, really connected, and lots of sort of down the line drive. Then as it flows down the board, you've got a pretty heavy amount of V. So the only lift you're getting from the tail is these channels, which is why he's put them in so deep. So you do get lift in the channels. If you're standing on the tail, you've got plenty of lift from those channels. So they're kind of, you know, as all channels are, they're almost acting like fins in the way that they're kind of giving you that lift and that forward momentum when you're down the line, and when you do a turn, they're giving you an extra little bit of grip. So having a lot of V with deep channels, it really does give you loads and loads of control with the twin fin setup. So I love the way he's like elaborated the V. It's kind of like the bottom shape that you see on a lot of his boards, just elaborated for the maximum feels that go really, really well with a twinny. So from a shaper's perspective, it just makes loads of sense. He hasn't been scared about adding characteristics in design that make lots of sense to make the surfboard really, really easy to surf. I love that. Rocker wise, it's not flat. I would say on the 6.6 you have like the similar tail rocker as you would on your standard shortboard. So you've got enough kit. It's not like bullet flat. You can still turn this with your back foot over the pads. And then the nose rocker is gradual, but it's accentuated by that slightly rolled V coming out the nose to lift the rails out of the tail. So you don't have huge amounts of flick. It's more of a gradual uptick in the rocker, meaning that you get that extra sort of flatness in the staged rocker, given the fact that you've got concave as well. So you have that kind of staged, gradual rocker from this board. It will paddle into tiny waves. It will handle nice bigger waves. Probably where you'd struggle on this board is something like, you know, really late takeoffs right under the lip into barrels, but anything like big and rollies, so like winter beach breaks, you could easily use this as a step up. But for the most part, it's just a fun, playful board. This is the sort of board where, depending on what flavour you like, what resonates with you, you can kind of go longer rail lines like 6.8, 6.10s. You can kind of go mini mids like 6.4, 6.6, or you can even just call it your daily driver and kind of go, you know, like 6.0, 6.2s, depending on your height and weight, obviously. It's pretty diverse in the sizes that you can run it at. Me personally, I quite like the look of this one, which is the 6.6, which comes in at 40 litres, so just still plenty of foam. But I would kind of consider it as, yeah, like mini mid twin pin vibes rather than like loads and loads of rail line. I feel like I'd probably have Axel's cow going slightly longer, maybe 6.8. I'd have this maybe in 6.6. Almost as a daily driver or like a fistral board, but especially when the waves are a little bit feathery and kind of slopey. This is just going to give you plenty of juice and lots of freedom to stand. The Deckline is not quite as flat. It's a little bit more pinched, so you've got a slightly domed deck which rolls down into a kind of softer, kind of pinched rail, but the foil isn't super thick. He's taken quite a lot of foam out on the foil, so the Deckline is still pretty flat through here, so you do get that stability, but you just have enough bite in the rail that you can always connect it, because one of the key characteristics to twin pins is that a thruster can make you cheat surfing. You don't always have to have your rail engaged to have control of the board, but with twins you really do. So I can tell that Axel's thinking of that by having those pinched rails, so you've always got the rail engaged with the fins to give you that ultimate control, where it's the feeling of freedom, but you're never completely out of control. You're not on a wild horse, you know, just trying to hold on, as it were. You've got that connectedness that just gives you that fluidity, and it's like everything we want about a twin pin. So you can kind of still turn it. It's a kind of really diverse board, and I think it's one of those boards I feel like everyone can own. It's like a rite of passage as a surfer. Like, have a twin pin in your life. Have a channel bottom twin pin, because everyone can surf it. You can almost be a beginner, and it's plenty of volume and stability to be able to surf as your first hardboard. But then equally, a good surfer who just wants an easy, fun board to surf, then a little bit less conventional than maybe a hybrid thruster or a mid-length. You've got something that's going to offer you that freedom of a twin fin, but giving you those extra rail lines to catch plenty of waves. So I think that, yeah, it's kind of like a fish and a longboard, this sort of thing. You'll never regret owning a mid-length for sure, but a twin pin mid-length, I feel like that's the one for everyone. Fin setups are, obviously it's a straight up twin. You can kind of use your favourite uprights, or you might want to use one of those more progressive keels. I really like the Brit Merricks. I think that would be a great board. And they're kind of set a little bit further back, obviously to add that hold. So it's not super, super loose. That's why I quite like, you know, more progressive keels if you're going for it, like the Brit Merricks. Or my personal twin fin that I really like at the moment is the Mick Fanning ones, the carbon ones. They're really thin. There's something about them. They're just uber fast, but they still have that control. I've never felt like I'm out of control on those fins. So something like that. Pick your favourite twin fin setup. It will take a host of different fins for sure. In terms of the waves it suits, anything slopey. I'd say you don't want loads and loads of shape. So again, UK, you can tell from the previous sales of this model, it works well in the UK. You can see reviews online, talk to your mates. You'll always know someone who's owned the Lady Twin over the last couple of years, and now it's called the Angel Twin on Axel's range. So any real waves, any real surfer. Thing with this board, it's a certain style. It's not as aggressive as shortboarding. It's not as harshly pivoting. It's slightly more lateral and flowy and out on the face and drawing sort of pretty lines and keeping your fluidity and flow. If that's your kind of bag, or if you want to improve your rail game, then like this is the sort of thing that you really, really need. In terms of where to order it, we do have the 6.6 in stock online now on the Collab page. Just head to our in-stock page, or you can custom order it with any colours you want on our website. No problems. You can even go onto Axel's website, axellorentzshapes.com. He is a board builder, so you can really have a play around with any of his shapes. Order from there. And it's going to be available in all of our major stockists really soon. Watch this space. Axel's brand is just launching. He's going to come over this summer. We're going to do a nice tour. Going to be really, really fun. Luckily, Axel's only in France, so it's a short flight, and we really connected well with Axel. He's a good friend of the factory, and you're going to see plenty of his shapes in UK waters soon, because we really believe believe in this brand and want to get behind what Axel does as one of the best shapers UK's ever produced. You know, he's been in the final of, what's that stab comp called?
Stab in the Dark? Or...
Stab in the Dark, yeah. So Axel's been in Stab in the Dark 5 times, and every single time he's entered, he has been in the top 3. He's got second place twice. He's never won it, but he's always there. He's the most consistent shaper, and he's on our shores. This is epic. Like, I can't tell you how proud I am of people like Axel for our industry over here in Europe. So we're so stoked to have his shapes in our racks. We will have demo boards soon, but in the meantime, if you've got any questions, drop them in the comments and we will answer. Please like the video so we can get it out to as many people as possible to really showcase Axel's shapes and what he's about. And subscribe to our channel. We've got loads of videos coming out, and it really helps us understand our audience if you're subscribing, so we can see where you're from and what you're doing and what you like the look of in terms of our content. Thank you for watching. Might take this one for a spin myself. See you in the next video soon. I'm going this way to a dead end because there's a wall here. Bye.